Are you ready to rock and roll?
Most days.
Welcome back to Kevjet the podcast. Ty Herndon.
What's going on, my friend?
It's been 2 years since we had our first conversation on the podcast.
It probably has been, but it feels like 5 minutes, doesn't it?
It does.
The river of life just rolls and rolls and rolls, and we just get cooler hair and better stories, hopefully.
True. And I just have to say, on the first podcast, you mentioned the memoir, and then you call me up and say, "Oh my God, you need to delete that. We can't have that out yet." And that was 2 years ago. And look where we are now.
Wow, man. I think we were just at the beginning of sitting down and starting the book. I think we probably had maybe 2 months in, and I was just a scared little rabbit because, I had never done this before, and I found a very let's just say, as my sponsor says, if you've been to the valley of death and you've also been to heaven, so everything in between. And I wasn't exactly sure what twists and turns we would talk about, where it would go, and it should have taken a year. Kevin took about 2.5 years.
And it went to all of the places.
Went to all the places, thank God. Working with the great David Ritz, who's, he first thing out of his mouth was, "Dude, I've been arrested at Stonewall 5 times, so nothing going to surprise me." I said, well, it's not about what's going to surprise you. It's about what's living in me that maybe has not had a voice before.
Yeah.
And trying to find that voice. And so the excavating crews were many, and finding the keys were really hard to open those rooms. And what I found out was that you don't get to take a cleaning crew. I talk in a lot of analogies because it works for me. You don't get to take a cleaning crew in there. It's just you, not even a mop or broom. It's just you. And you have to sit down in that room and face the hard truths and actually gather information that left you a long time ago, that you left locked away. So it's been freedom, to be honest with you. It's been a lot of things I did not expect.
And are there any stories that you thought, I didn't think I'd ever say this, or I didn't think I'd ever write this down?
Sure. Absolutely. I wasn't sure I'd even talk about the Pentecostal preacher that was trauma-based one. I wasn't sure I'd talk about the arrest in detail. So many different ways that story's been told. And finally, at the end of the day, it was up to me to tell it, and every detail of it. And I certainly never thought I'd talk about rape. And that was trauma-based number 2. And those rooms were packed full of pain and shame and fear, all the things that create a nice little cancer that can live in you to cause all kinds of problems. And on top of the mental health work I've done, that I've been able to do with a lot of help from higher power and great people around me, really the courage to face the truth about yourself and finding out answers is the greatest gift you'll ever give yourself. So I've said, over the next year, if this book sells, 1,000,000 copies, or if it sells, well, it's doing really well. But hope 100 years from now, it's sitting on someone's desk or even in a bargain bin, and it doesn't have dust on it, and it's meant to go into the hands of someone who needs hope, someone who needs answers to some pretty tough situations. If I can be a little living beacon for anything, that there's no mess too big that you can't clean it up. And when I say clean it up, it doesn't mean you got to wipe it away. You have to understand it and understand why the behavior happened. So if you can do that, you're paying something forward that you didn't even know you had to pay forward.
Writing the book took a lot out of you, but do you find the book tour and reliving it all the time and being asked all the questions, do you find that is just as difficult?
I dreamed about being able to just have the most authentic boots and skin and just walk into a room just completely fearless and confident. The confident part I've got, because that was given to me a long time ago, whether I wanted it or not. I can put that coat on. But that little 10-year-old preacher in the book, if you haven't read the book, y'all, this book opens up with, as much as I want you to love me, you're going to probably want to toss me out the front door by the middle of this book, but hang in there. And what I didn't count on was this little 10-year-old who got everything taken away from him in a moment. I say that very dramatically because if you're that age and you're living for one specific reason, and it's all you've ever been taught, and somebody just takes a sledgehammer to it, and you don't even understand what they're really talking about. You just understand that you just got taken down. That little guy, this is the work I'm doing now. believe it or not, after all this, learning that everything's okay, that it's okay to feel happy. It's okay to not feel chaos. It's okay to feel like the other shoe's it's not going to drop because there's nothing to drop. And my therapist said the other day, and I want for people to really hear this, no matter where you are in life, there is not a room full of roses. There are flowers you put in a vase. But you have to learn to live in that room. You have to learn what joy is and recognize it and know how to live in it. My God, man, I did not expect this. I had no idea how to live in this kind of freedom. And it's a process. So with people, I mean, I've cried more on book tour than I've ever cried. It's a lot different. And I'm more exhausted than I've ever been because it's so emotional. But first stop, I had a transgender female to male, maybe about 17 years old. And he was sitting there and question and answer time happened. And he called me Mr. Ty, which I thought was great. He said, Mr. Ty, he said, I hear you speak a lot about God and faith. He goes, I'm transgender. He goes, and that's been taken away from me. Is there a way to get back there? And I tell you the truth, my friend, I am an old Indian woman at the end of the day. And my grandmother does live in me. And she just took the seat. She said, my dear boy, she said, you don't live in the church. The church lives in you. You are the king of your church. You get to build your congregation. No one gets to kick you out of your church. And you get to decide what your faith looks like and what's in your house. And the look on that kid's face was like my grandmother was standing there, as much as I love her. But I was like, okay, he understood that. You get to build your church, no matter what faith. If it's a tree out there, you love a tree, build your church under the tree. But no one can throw you out of your church. No one. And in these crazy times today, that little preacher boy is learning how to get back up at the pulpit because how fucking dare anybody tell anybody that they can't have a relationship with God, that God is only theirs. Now, if there's one thing that you want to get me ticked off about today, and I have to find grace in it, because that's just pure ignorance, stupidity. It's taught. It's not given. And I'm a true example of that because the one thing, you're my friend, I'm glad I get to preach today. The one thing and the reason I'm still here is that faith, because it was a gift to me and God's certainly not going to take it away. It's not going to be taken away. People will always try to take your gift, always. And if you know it lives in you, no matter what they say, it is a wall of cement they cannot get to. And I was carried out like how mama puppies carry their babies around by the back of their neck, the skin. Well, it's kind of like God carried me around for a lot of years with patience and love. And I knew that was always there. I never, ever felt unloved by God. I felt unloved by my own DNA. And that it just didn't, these blood and bones were just a double folding trouble of bullshit. And so it had to be all put together and it had to be torn down to put together. And I could really tear down the house. I knew how to do that. No, I could burn it down. Now, the gift today of this book and everything that I get to do with the love of a lot of people around me, God, is whatever you burn down, please don't haul the ashes off because you got to build on that. That is your new mud for foundation. And that is the lessons. Man, I don't know exactly why I'm here today other than just to be a great husband and a son and sing for people and tell my truth. But I sure got to do that in this memoir. And I was emailing with my friend David Archuleta the other day. His book is Devout, and I devoured it in like 4 hours. People, if souls are willing to put it all out there for you, take a look at it because it's I didn't do this book for me. I knew that halfway through. I wasn't doing this book for me. And that gave me the courage to, number one, be faithful. Number two, be courageous. Number three, be a little bit funny. And number four, tell the fucking truth about it. It's a tell-all book, y'all. I'm just telling on myself.
Was there a moment in the book when you were writing the book, is there a moment where you thought, shit, this is going to change everything?
Of course.
There's lots of moments for the reader, definitely.
It took Alex many times to pull me out of the corner, pretending to meditate, but just in disbelief that I would, number one, be able to get that out of me and then tell it to someone that I trusted. and then find the words to put it on paper. It was terrifying because everything about my life had been interpreted by other people. I'd never had a chance to interpret my own story. I didn't even know a timeline of my life. You just, this is going to blow you guys away, especially you, my friend. David Ritz said, I didn't have to look far for your timeline because you've been screaming the truth. He goes, go listen to all your albums. He goes, it's in order. You may have changed the pronouns, but I could tell everything you were going through. You poured everything into that music because it was my safe place to run. And he was correct. I went back and listened to my whole catalog because, I've just never done that. And I was able to kind of pinpoint where I was in my life at that time. And wow, what a ride. And I appreciate not only the music more, I appreciate every person that had anything to do with that music, that I got to make it. I say this in the book, whether you're currently in my life or we're just friends or you don't even talk to me anymore, you played a valuable part in the story of me. And all of that music, all those things could not have been accomplished without, 3 decades of people. I could never name them all. But if they're quiet in the corner and they read this book, they'll know. They'll know and they'll see that there was a lot more going on than anyone knew.
Exactly.
I've had a couple of those precious phone calls already. And when I tell you, I said I wasn't going to cry today because I've been doing a lot of that. But if I do, I do. The book didn't bring redemption. What's happening now is right down to, my partner for 14 years, the quiet one that no one can know about. He just called and said, hey, thanks for calling me Robert Redford in the book. All he said. I was like, all is well. And Renee, here's the deal. If you were in the media with me, then there was no way I couldn't say your name at some point. But if you weren't, I could have great lengths to protect you. Absolutely, because that is your wish. Renee did. She did text me. She goes, okay. She calls me Boyd. That's my first name. She goes, okay, Boyd. This is not what I thought it was going to be. She goes, thank you. This is wonderful. Some of my own family were like, this is kind of cute. Ty, this book is good. And I'm like, did y'all think it was going to be trashy? No, it's just, I have to say probably the book company at times wanted me to say more. But sometimes people's lives are their story to tell. Even with Alex, we could have stopped this book easily right before I met him. And I gave him that choice. I said, this is your story to tell. Up to now, this has been mine. And I said, if you want to tell our story, then you call David Ritz and he'll be happy to take your call. And I don't know, probably 3 or 4 months went by and I was completely fine. David and I both were that privacy is privacy. And the man thought I did voiceovers for a living. Okay. So he pop culture. So he walked in the door from the gym and he goes, hey, just got off the phone with a 4-hour conversation with David Ritz. I said, did you? He goes, yeah. He goes, thank you for giving me the choices. It was my honor to tell our story. And the phone rang 5 minutes later and David goes, ooh, some enchanted evening. I said, I'm so happy you guys talked. Alex and I, the universe is a beautiful thing. When you know a little bit more of his story, we divinely met. We were able to cut some pretty horrible thing off at the past that maybe could have happened, with his own trauma. From somebody who, as the song goes, you're going through hell, just keep going. Well, I didn't plan on singing it 3 times, but I did. But here's what I learned from the book. I talk freely because you're my friend. Our stories are beautiful, tragic, and sometimes way too much to handle. But it is your story. And know who has a seat at your table at all times. You really need to trust that. I've learned that. We both had, as a family, we've learned that. So you're catching me at a really great time. I'm very, very, very raw and open. And yesterday, I was reeling from a little sinus infection and the LA Book Festival, and
that looked amazing.
It was super fun. And I think I called you, said I have a little bit of a family crisis.
Yeah.
The family crisis was me. I have to stop. and I have to breathe and I have to center so I can have these conversations. So thank you for being my friend and allowing that. I appreciate it.
That's why I asked. The tour must be a lot. It has to be a lot.
But it's welcome. It's different to I mean, I love singing. Excuse me, sorry. I love singing. It's what I do. It's my gift. And I love stories behind the songs. But I never thought that I would be telling my really personal stories behind the truth of the songs. And holding my shit together during those times is a beautiful gift. And I don't really try all that hard anymore because if I need to fall apart. I think I did it with Chrissy Metz. So if I need to fall apart, then I fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a beautiful thing about me that was put away for a long time. And I have a lot of feelings about a lot of things. And it's very human feelings. I genuinely care about people. And I genuinely care about, if you're in the heart of addiction, you can still sit down at my table. I'm not going to turn you away. I might ask you to leave your purse outside, but I'm not going to turn you away from a meal. And, I've gotten in trouble with talking about recovery that way because, we easily turn our backs on the people that need us the most. The rules aren't built to welcome people that need the information the most. And I got super big trouble about saying, if you've got 25 years and you relapse, nobody going to tell you can't keep those 25 years. It's called a hiccup. And then you that you get your ass back in there and then you got 25 years of pause in a year. Nobody can take your years away from you. And it's ridiculous that anyone is made to feel that way. So my years are multiple coat of many colors, but you're not going to take those years away from me because I earned them and I worked for them and I learned a lot. And so I still do me and Keith Urban do our 8 a.m. meetings, and I like to just listen. I hear a lot, especially from old timers. And recovery is recovery. Recovery today is whatever works for you and how you make that work. And I will preach that always.
Do you have a ritual before you start these interviews on the book tour? And I say that because the book tour is different to being on tour where you're getting on stage and singing. Do you have a ritual to center yourself?
Blueberries. Rituals for me is a silent little prayer. Sometimes it's a serenity prayer. Sometimes it's God, God, I understand. I have no idea what I'm doing here, what my purpose is, but just allow me to breathe and listen. If you breathe and listen, you're going to figure it out pretty quickly. And that removes any shame or fear that lived in my boots for a long time. I literally shake them out and go, you have no place here.
You feel that you kind of have a responsibility now because you become this role model for a lot of these people that are going to be in the room when you're speaking at these book tours. Do you feel that on your shoulders?
A little bit. I mean, I did I was a keynote speaker at a panel for country radio. The country radio seminars here in Nashville every year, and it's every programmer from around the country is here, and all the big dogs, and this was a very interesting panel. I was the grand poopah. I was the granddaddy sitting there with these new and up and coming LGBTQ artists who are making their way.
Which in itself is amazing that you just said that, isn't it?
It is amazing. I thought it very interesting. The panel's navigators, we'll call him, said, Mr. Herndon, I understood you had a little bit of a question about the theme today. I said, it's not much a question, it's a statement. I said, this panel is called LGBTQ plus artists being seen in country music. I said, how interesting that you have me sitting up here when I spent 3 decades doing everything in my power for you to not see me. Hi, haven't we come a long way? And it gave me a voice I'd never had before. And that was a beautiful place to use humor because humor has its place. But what I did get to say was this: all these beautiful young artists who are so brave, you can still see they're a little bit fearful, that they even got a seat at the table. I sold my seat because I didn't want it anymore that way. I got a new seat and I was able to talk about that. When I said to these programmers, I said, I know you guys sit at pretty powerful desks, and sometimes there's just so much music in your email or on your desk that you're overwhelmed. But let me promise you something. If one of these artists happened to have gotten your email or on your desk, you have no fucking idea how much work it took for it to get there. You have no idea of the courage that it took just to come to Nashville and make a CD that you might hear one day. So I said, please, before you do anything else, you don't got to play it. Just do us all a favor. Just listen to it. And then let people know you listened. If you can do that, then we win. And who knows? You might get your socks blown off.
Exactly.
And everybody stood up and clapped. And I was like, ooh, I'd have never said that. I would have never said that before, Lordy.
Looking back, what did courage look like for you 20 years ago versus today?
Wow, Kevin, that's a good question. I never needed courage to go in the studio and do music. I needed courage to walk into a radio station. I needed courage to walk on stage. Because quite honestly, I didn't know if one person or 1,000 people would show up. And the one thing all I ever really wanted was to sing for you. And so the courage it took, after, I won't say it took courage to create all those lies. And, it took courage to ask some folks to do that for me and to understand the scope of what they were sacrificing. And I believe I did. Especially with Renee. We were great friends. She's living in this little house in San Angelo, Texas, and I was kid her. I go, girl, you had a bad perm and bad eyeshadow. It was all you needed. You needed my help. But bless her heart, she didn't sign up for the years of it that came. After the addiction and the arrest in Texas, and after that arrest, it took almost more courage than I had to even get up. But I had a record label that stood by me, and I managed to get enough knowledge about sobriety, just a little bit, that I was able to for the first time put some time together. And I just buckled down, and it took courage just to buckle down and to see what was going to happen, because the trajectory for me was not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't. And there was no way in hell. Nobody would tour with me because I was still having hit records. I went on to have, 3 more number ones and 22 chart singles. Thank God for the love of a great record label. And an artist who became very dedicated, because I knew that the fact that I even got to keep doing this was a miracle. But I knew that miracle was probably going to kill me, because the big lie, the big fat motherfucking lie had to continue. All of a sudden I found myself, 5 times in People magazine, Renee and I, just drug free and happy marriage. And what about him who was living quietly? So yeah, that was just a new form of trauma that really set in on all of us. And it got so much for me that I explained this in the book. All I needed to do was leave. I couldn't be there anymore, and I couldn't fix anything. I left one of the greatest loves of my life, and it was just out of sheer, believe me, I'm doing you a favor. But I didn't have the courage to say that.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who's hiding such an important part of their life today?
If it's over in the music business, I would say find another job, because there's no need to hide anymore. But I think we've done a really good job of putting a spotlight on that. But in any job that you have, be educated and be great at it. Because when you're educated and you're great at something, it's pretty hard to hold you back. And I always say this: if you want to come to Nashville, then I don't care if you have pink hair and red boots. Come to this town, wear your hair, wear your boots, but be amazing at songwriting. You want to be a singer, take voice lessons and hit notes you've never hit before. Find your voice, number one, and know country music. Because if you don't know who Patsy Cline is, or Bill Monroe, or all the greats, then, people are just not going to respect you here. You got to know your history. And let the rest fall in place, because it will. I mean, the perfect example is Brandi Carlile. I mean, she never gave 2 shits about all. She just is a great songwriter and a great performer, and she led with that. I think that's a recipe that works in anything you do. And if someone happens to find out a little more about your personal life, you just look at them and go, "Yes, I'm a vegetarian." You have a problem? It's just like, don't wear a label. You don't need to.
Do you find singing any songs of yours on stage on any given night, do they hit you differently now?
Boy, do they. We brought our book tour to Nashville at Harkin Hall the other night. And Chrissy Metz, my dear friend, did the Q&A. We'll be touring this all year, so it's pretty phenomenal. It's just so full. It's somewhere between a really charismatic church, a little bit of an AA meeting, and a great damn country concert. It's just what? How did I land here? I was singing a song that Jamie Floyd and Jimmy Thell wrote for me called "How You Get to Heaven," and I recorded it. I went back in the studio for Jacob and did a deluxe just to add 2 more songs that I'd written, and then how you get to heaven. And I was just sitting there, still in the house with just the acoustic guitar, talking about that song, and I started singing it, and man, a little 10-year-old in church that just had this incredible feeling. You want to call it a touch from God, you want to call it, just a wave of a beautiful emotion. It hadn't hit me like that in a good long while. It was so innocent, and I just stopped. I couldn't sing. I stopped. So I actually just put one hand up, and band kept playing, and I caught him on the chorus. I caught up, but it was a lot of something I'm in for.
Yeah,
I know that.
How has your audience evolved with you?
Well, Leroy Cornell told me something sometime back, because one thing you can't depend on, and I'll tell all the LGBTQ artists, they're with you for a hot minute and they're on to the next thing. You cannot depend on, Shelley Wright told me this, and it holds very true. Your audience is made up of a lot of different things. If you're depending on coming out to, just have this huge gay following, and that's not going to happen. I mean, for some people, maybe Kathy Griffith, and I met her the other night, but she's not gay. So it's interesting what the community follows. It's so segregated, and my audience has become a coat of many colors. I see diehard country fans, girls and ladies with their redneck husbands who have learned to tolerate me but love my music. I love those guys. And then there's, these we get a lot of LGBTQ married folks, which I guess I'm kind of a date night, thing for them, and I love that. And the book has also brought a lot of our married gay guys out, just who relate to the story. And man, do the lesbians love me. I love you lesbians, because those girls tell me the truth, and I love that. So, but I'm seeing a growing audience now. People that are just discovering my music for the first time, and it's pretty cool to hear somebody. And music audience today are really smart. They dig deep. They go into album cuts, and I'm like, you heard that song? Okay, well, cool. I love you for that.
What brings you peace today?
I'm working on that. To be honest with you, I've never really known it. It's always what's next, and what am I going to cut off at the pass? How do I fix this? It really matters to me what you think. Not so much anymore. It matters why you think it. Well, there comes a really handsome husband walking down the stairs right now. He brings me peace. He's out playing with the dogs, and he's shampooing the dogs today. Will you shampoo me next? He's like, I'm going back outside. He makes me laugh, and
because
I make him cry.
My next question was, what does love look like in your life today? So it was perfect timing that Alex walks by.
My mom said the other day, maybe it's time you put some pictures out of some other people besides you and Alex. I'm like, oh, wow, I guess there are just a lot of pictures of us around here. But so we did. Thanksgiving, we did pictures of everybody in the family and put them on the piano. But they got to take their pictures home with them. They were framed to take them home. So, which was kind of sweet.
That is beautiful.
So now there's just pictures of us again.
What's the most ridiculous thing that you've ever signed for a fan?
Well, asses are always kind of funny to sign. People just drop them. I'm like, no. It's like you're getting a shot. Just drop it a little bit. Boobs and butts. It's always interesting the people want. Or babies. I've signed a baby before.
Oh, wow. What's the most rock star moment that you've ever had to date? There's a story about you and Cher that I quite like.
Oh, I was thinking career. Yeah, that's a rock star moment. Yeah, absolutely. In the book, just spending my 30th birthday with Cher. We were writing songs over at Sting's castle in Bordeaux, France, and But pretty all-star folks. So there's Alana Miles, Brenda Russell, Sting, Cher, and this little country boy who I just got my record deal. I was like, I'm like, you're Cher. I used to watch Sonny Cher. She thought that was funny. She goes, you're new country music. She likes country music. She's actually one of the first persons I said I'm gay to, because Bruce Roberts was there, my good friend, and he knew I was gay. Bruce said, Todd just got signed with Sony, but he's closeted, because of country music. And she's just like, what? You have to be closeted to be country music? I was like, yeah. And I said, hopefully one day I won't have to be. And she goes, oh, dear Lord. Okay. She goes, I said, tomorrow's my birthday. She goes, we're going to Paris. Took a car to Paris, and Cher opened up the Eiffel Tower at midnight, and we drank Cristal. And I spent the next 5 days with her during that goth time she was in. We lost touch sometimes back, but interestingly enough, I got to be friends with Elijah Blue over the years, and now we're back in touch again. So it's kind of cool.
It's very good. What kind of impact do you hope that your story leaves behind?
I've said this, these books, there's a lot of them out there. And, if they're on a bookshelf 50 years from now in a self-help aisle, and it's labeled as that, because that's what it is. It's a love story, but it's also bathed in self-help and the journey to get there for it to be a love story. If that's my legacy, then the music's great, but find the book for the truth.
Right now in this chapter of life, what feels most important to you?
Well, we got 2 more books, 2 more albums coming. Re-release of my Grammy-nominated album with 3 new songs on it. One of which my mother-in-law, Mother in Love. We say Mother in Love in our family. She's a great songwriter and artist. And there's a wedding venue in the future. There's Grandma Myrtle's brand of chicken and dumplings that could possibly go into grocery stores. There's good stuff. Good stuff coming.
Amazing. I like to do my little Kevjet's quick fire questions, if you remember that correctly.
I remember. Do you remember?
How about we roll into that?
I love it.
One word to describe your life right now.
Blessed.
A song that instantly lifts your mood.
Celebrate this book. Come on.
Morning person or night owl?
A morning person, definitely.
One thing you've outgrown.
Fear and healthy health. One thing I've outgrown is shame, fear, and I've replaced it with courage.
One thing you'll never let go of.
Alex.
Your biggest pet peeve.
I'm OCD. I have a list of those. But being married, I've learned that it's okay for the underwear to be on the floor.
Yeah, you kind of have to let that go. Guilty pleasure you'll defend forever.
Ooh. My grandma's chicken and dumplings. Yes. Yes.
Sounds amazing. A place that feels like home that isn't.
Wow. This is going to be the cheesiest answer ever, but audiences today.
That's beautiful.
Never thought I'd feel that.
Yeah. Wow. One word your friends would describe you. One word your friends would use to describe you, if I can get that out.
Wait, one word my friends used to describe?
No, they would use. So one word they would use. Yeah.
Scary.
If your life had a theme song right now, what would it be?
Love lift us up where we belong. There's a mountain top. Yes.
Something you're still learning the hard way.
Listening. It's my ears are trying to hear things for what they want to hear instead of my husband's helping me with that a lot, though. So.
Fame, blessing, curse, or a bit of both?
Earned. There you go.
Yeah.
None of it. Earned.
One thing you wish people understood about you.
That if I hug you, it won't turn you gay.
I wish they would understand that about me as well.
I'm not kidding.
I know. I totally hear you there. And
I don't
so
possess
will,
that power.
it's true. Apparently we have that gift.
Yeah.
Right now, what are you most grateful for?
Oh, the truth. Wow. Yes. Yes. A truth that's a different level of setting you free. Yes, absolutely.
Finish this sentence. I've learned that.
Courage comes from a place of gut wrenching honesty. And there is no place in your body that will house untruths and that will make you okay.
Finally, what is your favorite podcast?
To the Kevjet. Yeah.
Thank you, Ty. I loved our conversation as I always do. And
Yes, sir.
I love keeping in touch and following your journey and your life. And I
Hey,
appreciate
man.
your friendship.
Hey, man. Thank you for your patience so you could get the best of me today. So I wanted to, I care about that. So, all right.
Amazing.
Well, I love you, dude. Give me a hug.
I keep in touch and I can't wait to see what happens next.
I love you, bud. Talk to you soon.
I'll just hit
Bye.